Yeah. Today we held another meeting with Russian delegation. Ukraine came with 3 clear agenda items set by President Zelensky. First, a ceasefire. We are insisting on a full and unconditional end to the killing now. Our proposal is an unconditional ceasefire in the air, sea, and land, at least for 30 days. This position has remained unchanged for the 3 months, and we consider it the basis for starting a peaceful resolution. A few days ago, we shared our documents with Russian side, but there has been no communication from them regarding their document until today. Only during the discussion today, Russians handed over its document to our delegation. Our teams will take a week to review the documents, and then we can coordinate further steps. Second point is release of our people. We're insisting on the release of all prisoners and the return of abducted children. On release of prisoners of war, we agreed to focus on specific categories rather than numbers. We agreed to exchange all for all, seriously wounded and seriously sick prisoners of war. Second category is young soldiers who are from 18 to 25 years old, all for all. Also, we agreed to return 6,000 to 6,000 bodies of fallen soldiers. Children. We have provided the other side with a list of several hundred Ukrainian children who were deported to Russia. This matter is a fundamental priority for us. If Russia is genuinely committed to the peace process, the return of at least half of the children from this list would be serving as a positive indication. The third point in our agenda is a meeting of leaders. We firmly believe that all key issues can only be solved at the level of leaders. And the leaders' meeting could be with possible involvement of other leaders, such as President of the United States. And we think that further work between delegations makes sense if it is aimed at preparing the leaders' meeting. We propose to Russian side to hold a meeting by the end of this month, from 20th to 30th of June. This is crucial for making progress in negotiations process. We've been telling Russia for a very long time, this war must end. And the whole world supports us in that. We're calling for real work to end this war. The first necessary steps are clear to everyone: a ceasefire, humanitarian actions, and preparation for a leaders' meeting. If Russia is serious about ending the war, it will move forward on this. If not, international sanctions must follow. Thanks to everyone who is standing with us.
Thank you, Minister Umerov. And now, please, Sergei Kislyak.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for your attention to this event. We came here mandated by the President of Ukraine with a clear message of our willingness to sit down and have constructive consultations with our Russian counterpart. As Minister Umerov said, we have offered them our ideas very well long before the meeting of today. We asked them directly if they were ready to react to our proposals that we handed over to them in written form. A while ago, there was no follow-up on the Russian side. As you can understand, we could not react to the Russian proposals because the Russian proposals were only literally given to us during the meeting. Therefore, the Russians themselves suggested that we need to take a serious look at those proposals. Nevertheless, we managed to construct our conversation in a way that we can have tangible humanitarian outcome if our experts will diligently follow on the agreements between the two heads of the delegations. I would like also to note that the Russian side continue to reject the notion of unconditional ceasefire, the very unconditional ceasefire that the American president himself offered a while ago, the very unconditional ceasefire that the US delegation spoke in New York on Thursday and on Friday, the very unconditional ceasefire that our delegation has offered once again. Nevertheless, there was an agreement that the experts will continue to discuss the ideas, including on the ceasefire, that are contained in the papers that the delegations have exchanged. I would like also to remind you that it was the Russian delegation back at the previous meeting that rejected the possibility of the presence of the delegation of the United States, which is very unfortunate given the special role that the United States plays as a country, as an important provider of security. Therefore, we cannot speak about long-term security in Europe, where Ukraine belongs to, without meaningful involvement of the United States and our European partners. As well, when we reach the point of having this ceasefire or a peace deal or whatever we may reach, we need someone who is capable and skillful and equipped enough to monitor the ceasefire and the peace deal. And apparently it is the very United States that has the capacities and capabilities to monitor the deal. Thank you.
$25 करोड़ गरीब गरीबी को परास्त करके बाहर निकले।
For the good of our nation, let's work together and let's truly make America great again.
The fastest news breaks.
Requested PM saying that look, you will have to speak to Putin and to Zelensky.
The biggest news makers.
The relationship with India is probably the most important bilateral relationship the US will have for the rest of this century.
The capital delivered quite an election result today.
Expert analysis.
The million-dollar question today is how to stop this dance of death.
Ground reports.
I'm standing at the crossroad of the Kumbh Mela. Behind me are more than 100 entry ghats.
Long-form interviews.
Exclusionary politics is reflected in Manipur case as well. You don't bother because this is a small state.
Deep dive into burning issues.
It's often said DRC could be the richest country in the whole world. It's because of what sits underneath.
Why exactly did the US topple the Sheikh Hasina government?
HT videos. We don't just break news, we break it down.